Welcome to the Cloud Council. I'm Don Polaniki, and today we're going to be talking about data-led business modernization. And I'm delighted to be joined by Graham Hackland, Group CIO of Rocket Williams Racing. Now let's look at the opportunity. So in your business, I guess it's kind of obvious why you use the data and what you use it for to get competitive advantage. What other opportunities do you see, in Rocket Williams, but also, to our viewers in terms of how they can extract value from the data and get competitive advantage in their industries?
So the car data, most people when they think of Formula One think of car telemetry data. That data is actually really small. That's not where the vast majority of our data is. So of the terabytes of data that we generate over a season, a very small percentage of that is actually car telemetry data. There's a lot of video and a lot of analytics data that we're working on, and data that's moving between wind tunnel, driver simulator, vehicle, the science and technology groups, and then into the racing car, and then that loop back feed back to them to help continually develop the car. So for most CIOs I talk to, that's quite different to their business and the way that they operate, except that everybody has data that's really critical to how their organization operates. And so it doesn't matter whether it's being generated in real time by a Formula One car and you've got to move it around the world. But I mentioned earlier that I'm also, group CIO. So Williams Advanced Engineering is a really important part of our organization and what we do. So we take Formula One derived technology and we apply it to lots of other industries. And so we've put technology into hospitals that protect babies. We help Brompton with an electric bicycle. We've done electric versions of motor vehicles using the technology from Formula One. We did the batteries for the first few seasons in the Formula E, the electric series. We've worked with aerospace. We work in fridges, putting technology into refrigerators. We've helped to make ice creams more efficiently, soap powder. So we apply that knowledge, thermodynamics, aerodynamics, lightweight materials, and especially electrification, and we've applied that into lots of other industries. Now that's quite different. That data and how you handle it is quite different. In Formula One, 4 or 5 seasons usually, and almost 99.999% of the time, no one cares about the data after 5 years. They want it there, but then they're not really going back to look at it very much. When you start to work on road cars or technology that's going into fridges and supermarkets or into hospitals, that data is different. And sometimes we own the IP, sometimes it's IP that we develop jointly with another organization, sometimes it's their IP that they give to us to work on in that project. Now we've got to track and trace and make sure that we know where that IP is, where that data is, how it's being used, and if ever in the future we have to be able to show the whole history of that piece of IP that's been generated. We've got to be able to do that. So now you're talking about tamper-proof repositories and making sure that data can't be tampered with at all, so that you've got the whole proof of origin of what it is. For Formula One, that's 1-2 seasons maybe. If ever there was an investigation into something that happened at a race, it's likely to happen within a couple of seasons. And I think that's probably more applicable to the challenges that a lot of other CIOs are facing. So we take projects from all these different industries that I've mentioned, including defense, and we have rules and regulations that the customers will put on us, and we need to make sure that we can comply with that. So that's been quite a different model for us, and we've had to be much more flexible in the infrastructure we've built, that we can segment the network so that there's a piece of the network that's just for one customer, for their infrastructure, for their data, and that no one else can get to it. If our wind tunnel has a customer in it, and then the next week it's got a Formula One car in it, we need to be able to handle that wind tunnel and the infrastructure and the data differently. And that's probably more applicable to what others are doing. And so then it's about making sure that the right people have got the access to the data at the right time, and very importantly, those who are not allowed to access to that data can't get access to the data. And that's very similar to the challenges faced by so many other organizations. And sometimes that data is in the cloud.
Yeah, I get no, absolutely. And I guess what's even more challenging is you've got these 2 speeds where you've got one scenario for racing, you've got another scenario for advanced engineering, you've got different, data policies associated with those 2. So it's, as you say, segmenting the network.
Although sometimes advanced engineering is at real pace, right? So they'll bid for a project or come up with an innovation, and in 3 days' time, we want to spin up a project team and we want to build a prototype. And so we can operate at Formula One speed.
Graham, thank you very much indeed again for joining me this week for the Cloud Council, being such an entertaining guest, and best of luck for the season. Thank you to all the viewers for being with us this week. You can find more business and IT advice at nutanix.com/CXO, and I'll see you next time.